Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning we will be in Matthew, chapter 10, verse 26, through chapter 11, verse 6. Jesus continues to his disciples in his monologue to them about going out. Do not be afraid of them, for nothing is hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing is secret that will not be made known. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the light, and what is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the housetops. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Instead, fear the one who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Aren't 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will. Even all the hairs on your head are numbered. So do not be afraid. You are more valuable than many sparrows. Whoever, then, acknowledges me before people, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever denies me before people, I will deny him also before my Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be the members of his household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life because of me will find it. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. Whoever receives a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And whoever gives only a cup of water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, I tell you the truth, he will never lose his reward. When Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in their towns. Now, when John heard in prison about the deeds Christ had done, he sent his disciples to ask a question. Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another? Jesus answered them, Go, tell John what you hear and see. The blind see, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news proclaimed to them. Blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me. Yeah, just a note here on 10:34. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and so on and so forth. Jesus' words can sometimes set a household ablaze. And ultimately, the peace that Jesus is talking about here is like peace between men. But I think the peace that Jesus came to bring, that is, when the angels announce peace on earth, goodwill to men, is peace between man and God. And when we have peace between man and God, there is sometimes, oftentimes, strife between us and the world. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, what's Guzik got to say? Do not fear them. Jesus' disciples could have confidence that the truth would prevail, so they should go out and preach it with boldness despite the danger of persecution. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed. Jesus promised his persecuted followers that the truth of their honorable sacrifice would be known, even if the persecutors did their best to hide it among the pages of history. God would reveal all and justify his servants and reveal the crime of those who thought they had hidden it. The judgment of eternity gives us great confidence in God's ultimate justice. Those who seem to cheat justice on earth will never cheat it in eternity. Whatever I tell you in the dark, spread in the light. The message of Jesus was gloriously public. It was not for a secret few and was not to be hidden in any way. There isn't one message for the inner circle and another for those on the outside. Those on the outside may not understand the message, but they can hear it, and it is not to be hidden from them. Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. God is the one to fear, not the men who persecute the followers of Jesus. The worst they can do is destroy the body, but being a coward before God can have eternal consequences. Do not fear, therefore. You are more valuable than many sparrows. Jesus' disciples didn't need to be afraid, because God really did care for them, even down to the most minute detail. If God cares for the sparrows and numbers the very hairs of our head, then he will also pay careful attention to our needs. The persecuted easily feel that God forgets them, but he is not. The emphasis in this short section is clearly, do not fear. This is the third time in 6 verses that they and we are to banish this cowardly base passion, this causeless, fruitless, harmful, sinful fear of men. He that fears God need fear none else. Whoever confesses me before men, him I will also confess before my Father who is in heaven. The disciple must confess Jesus publicly before men. If we will not be public about our allegiance to him, we cannot expect him to be public about his allegiance to us. Sorry. There is really no such thing as a secret Christian, at least not in a permanent sense. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. In strong terms, Jesus explained that the disciple must love and follow Jesus supremely. Our devotion to Jesus must come above even our own household. Take his cross and follow me. The disciple must follow Jesus even to the place of taking his cross. When a person took a cross in Jesus' day, it was for one reason, to die. The ancient Roman cross did not negotiate, did not compromise, and did not make deals. There was no looking back when you took up your cross, and your only hope was in resurrection life. Yeah. I feel like we've lost a lot of the context of the cross in our modern life, because crucifixion, the word where comes from the word excrucio, that, where we get excruciating. The idea being a punishment so terrible that, very terrible. And it was so terrible that people didn't even like to bring it up in conversation and instead referred to it as the ultimate punishment. But here Jesus was bringing it up, and not only bringing it up, but saying that the person that wants to follow me has to take up that cross, take up the punishment there. So, being a Christian isn't for the faint of heart. He who receives you receives me. The good done to Jesus' disciples is as if it were good done to Jesus himself, because they are his representatives carrying on his ministry. What could seem more insignificant than giving a person a cup of cold water? In a short time they will be thirsty again, yet even such a small gesture will always be remembered and rewarded by God. They shall by no means lose their reward. Again, it is not philanthropy which is in view, but reception of a disciple because he is a disciple. The promise is that those who are his disciples really do represent him, with both the cost and the reward. These little ones surely include all the apostles, prophets, and righteous men. They are all little ones because they are all targets of the world's enmity. And then John sends his disciples to Jesus to ask him if he's the one or if they should look for another. It's possible, but perhaps less likely, that John did not ask this question for his own sake, but for the sake of his disciples. He wanted them to go to Jesus and ask the question for themselves, causing them to focus their attention on Jesus. John 1:29 through 36. In other passages indicated before this, John clearly recognized Jesus as the Messiah. His present doubt may be explained because perhaps he himself had misunderstood the ministry of the Messiah. Perhaps he thought that if Jesus were really the Messiah, he would perform works connected with the political deliverance of Israel, or at least the deliverance of John, who was in prison. Go and tell John the things which you hear and see. Jesus wanted to assure both John and his disciples that he was the Messiah, but he also reminded them that his power would be displayed mostly in humble acts of service, meeting individual needs, and not in spectacular displays of political deliverance. We might phrase John's question like this: Jesus, why aren't you doing more? Morgan answered this: to all such restless impatience, he utters the same warning. For the most part, the way of the Lord's service is the way of plodding perseverance in the doing of apparently small things. The history of the church shows that this is one of the lessons most difficult to learn. Blessed is he who is not offended because of me. Jesus knew that the focus of his ministry was offensive to the expectation of the Jewish people, who longed for political deliverance from Roman domination. But there was a blessing for those who were not offended because of the Messiah who came against the expectation of the people. Blessed is he who can be left in prison, can be silenced in his testimony, can seem to be deserted of his Lord, and yet can shut out every doubt. John speedily regained his blessedness and fully recovered his serenity. Carrying on, Psalm chapter 13, verses 1 through 6. How long, Lord, will you continue to ignore me? How long will you pay no attention to me? How long must I worry and suffer in broad daylight? How long will my enemy gloat over me? Look at me, answer me, O Lord my God. Revive me, or else I will die. Then my enemy will say, I have defeated him. Then my foes will rejoice because I am upended. But I trust in your faithfulness. May I rejoice because of your deliverance. I will sing praises to the Lord when he vindicates me. Yeah. This feels like it dovetails nicely into John's trouble in prison. Yeah. God can often operate on timescales that are very different from what we would desire for him to operate on. Yeah. Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? The pain in David's heart came from a sense that God had forgotten him, and that God was distancing himself from him. No doubt, David had faced worse circumstances, but had faced them more bravely when he had sensed the presence of God with him. Yes, now, feeling distant from God, it did not take much to send David into despair. Yeah. But ultimately, God is there, regardless of whether our feelings say that he's there or not. How long shall I take counsel in my soul? No wonder David was discouraged. Taking counsel in his own soul had led him to sorrow in his heart daily. When I am discouraged and depressed, the answer is not in looking inside myself, but in looking to the Lord. There's a brief adage that goes something like, look to the world and get distressed. Look inside myself and get depressed. Look to the Lord and find rest, type thing. So, appropriate, I think. Enlighten my eyes. David had the wisdom to know that though he felt powerful feelings, he wasn't seeing reality. His vision was clouded and dark, so he cried out to God, enlighten my eyes. This was a great prayer. We need the light of God to shine upon us and to give us his wisdom and knowledge. No matter what problem we are in, we should cry out with all our heart, enlighten my eyes. Yeah. And in James it says to ask for wisdom from the Lord, but to do so in faith. I have trusted in your mercy. David, after his prayer, came to a place of confidence and trust. I have trusted speaks in the past tense. It is as if David remembered that he really did trust God, and he cleared away the fog from his sleepy eyes as God enlightened his eyes. Because he has dealt bountifully with me. As David thought about it, he had good reason to rejoice and sing, because God had been good to him. If we will only think about it, every person on this earth has reason to rejoice, because in some way, God has been good to everyone. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. Going on about wisdom. Long life is in her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are very pleasant, and all her paths are peaceful. She is like a tree of life to those who obtain her, and everyone who grasps hold of her will be blessed. Yeah. Solomon continues to extol wisdom here and the benefits of having wisdom. Wisdom is better than material gain. It imparts the kind of character and training that brings contentment and quality of life. Length of days is in her right hand. In principle, wisdom brings many benefits. Wise people live longer, enjoy greater prosperity, and esteem. They live lives marked by pleasantness, by peace, and by happiness. She is a tree of life, alluding most manifestly to the tree so-called which God in the beginning planted in the Garden of Paradise, by eating the fruit of which all the wastes of nature might have been continually repaired, so as to prevent death forever. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a great day.